If you were to ask me what are the most important skills for a professional to develop today, presentation skills would be somewhere near the top. I'm not the only one who feels strongly about this. TED CEO Chris Anderson says presentation literacy isn't an optional extra for the few, it's a core skill for the 21st century. My own career has been a testament to this. Whether as an HR manager for Intel Corporation or a consultant with eBay and PayPal, or as a lecturer at Salt Lake Community College, presentation skills have constantly been a cornerstone of my success. But why? Why are presentation skills so darned important? The French novelist Victor Hugo is credited with saying, "Nothing is more powerful than an idea whose time has come." Now, while I totally agree with this, there's an all-important step between an idea whose time has come and a passive bystander waiting to receive this idea. And that all-important step is communication. When you think about it, an idea is really nothing more than, well, a chemical reaction inside of a 3-pound squishy organ we call the brain. And the only way to move this idea from one brain to another to actually, sort of replicate that chemical reaction is through communication.
Yes! Yes!
Communication is all about engaging, motivating, inspiring your audience. And this is the power, a really, really important power, that awaits those who are willing to develop their presentation skills. Now, there are any number of ways to approach a presentation, a keynote, a workshop, a lecture, what have you. In fact, the book TED Talks, the official TED Guide to Public Speaking by Chris Anderson, CEO of TED, should be required reading for anyone interested in developing top-notch professional speaking skills. So now's your chance to hit pause or stop or whatever this video and run out and buy that book. But if you're still here, what I would like to do is share with you kind of my own approach. Now, it's informed by Chris Anderson and many others, so don't worry, we're going to be citing these bad boys. But it's my own approach that I have found has worked very well with me as I do my own lectures, presentations, and workshops. It's called the 5 E's of presenting, and while it's not entirely of my own invention, I've modified it fairly significantly to reflect my own presentation philosophies. The 5 E's are as follows: engage, excite, educate, entertain, and embolden. So with this in mind, let's do a little bit of a deep dive into each one of these 5 E's and talk about not only how they work, but how you can actually implement them in your own presentations. Engaging an audience's imaginations, faculties, aspirations, and yes, even fears is key to inspiring your audience to take action. This is often called hooking the audience. We're not talking a slow burn here. We are talking about grabbing and engaging their attention right off the bat. As Chris Anderson of TED puts it, first there is the 10-second war. Can you do something in your first few moments on stage to ensure people's eager attention while you set up your talk topic? Second is the 1-minute war. Can you use that first minute to ensure that they're committed to coming on the full talk journey with you? Yeah, so you really want to set that hook in your audience early on. The first way you can do this is by asking thought-provoking, compelling questions. Questions are a great way to provoke curiosity that then wants to be sated. According to Chip and Dan Heath, citing George Lorenstein of Carnegie Mellon University, curiosity happens when we feel a gap in our knowledge. And this gap causes a discomfort that can only be assuaged with knowledge. So yeah, piquing your audience's curiosity will totally set the hook. Another way that you can engage those in the room is by telling stories that helps make the ideas you're about to share real and tangible to them. Storytelling has been the mainstay of establishing and proliferating social values and expectations for as long as the human race has been around. Stories are how we experience, understand, and recount the human condition. Campbell Walker, a YouTuber at Struthless, once said, "Research is great because it gives authority to a concept, and story is great because it makes that concept memorable." According to Chip and Dan Heath, an effective story, one that engages the audience, is a simple, unexpected, concrete, credentialed, emotional story. In their excellent book, Made to Stick: Why Some Ideas Survive and Others Die, they go into detail on each of these criteria. But when it comes to hooking your audience, unexpected is money in the bank. So let's explore that idea a little further. Making an unexpected or even provocative statement, one that challenges the status quo, well, that can really help engage your audience early on. In this famous scene from the movie I Hug Fluffy Cuddles, Then You Die at Midnight by Martin Scorsese, we can see provocative statements at work. "Hello, Mr. Flanagan? Yes, this is Alfred Chalmers. Yes, I'm calling to inform you that there will be a seminar tomorrow in which we will discuss several topics. Yes, well, the first one is that greater choice brings about greater unhappiness." Yes, well, perhaps so. Well, I'm sure that's the case. Well, we're also going to discuss the fact that everybody is a socialist. It's just a question of who they include in their social circles. What? Now, don't be hasty. Yes? Yes, I must be there. Margaret, cancel my appointments. We did it! Yes, he's going to be there. We've totally hooked him. I would say he's absolutely and utterly engaged. Statements such as these are likely to provoke a response because, well, they go against the status quo. Oftentimes in literature and in cinema and so forth, we call this subverting expectations. It's a great way to kind of wake people up to the moment. And of course, you can form these into great thought-provoking questions. So, for example, if I say that greater choice brings about greater unhappiness, you can always say, what if I were to tell you that greater choice brings about greater unhappiness? So, yeah, the same principle applies. Now, no matter how you plan to engage your audience, it's very important that you have a clear what's in it for me proposition included. The simple fact of the matter is your audience has limited time and attention, and they're not going to just give you this time and attention because you're up on the stage or whatever. You have to give them a compelling reason to care. And the fact of the matter is they only care about that which they care about. What's in it for me? So make sure that any statements, any ways that you use to hook your audience, hook on to something that they really care about. You've hooked them, you've engaged them. You then want to excite them. Excitement brings about arousal, and arousal brings about action. Ultimately, you want to inspire your audience to take action, and it's only by exciting them that you're going to successfully do this. Share a vision for what your audience can achieve should they take action on the information you're about to provide in your lecture or talk, presentation, what have you. It's important that they not only just see it, but they kind of feel this future state. How will they feel when they are inhabiting this future state that they so much desire? You want them to be emotionally attached to this future state awaiting them on the other side because they're going to have to dedicate themselves to this endeavor. That's going to take real commitment. And real commitment only comes when we feel emotionally invested in the endeavor. Now, once again, stories are your friend when it comes to exciting your audience. Share how these practices helped you and others accomplish challenging goals. Help the audience connect the benefit of success with the actions they need to take. The idea is to provide a proof point and show how the material you're about to provide has real value and can help them accomplish difficult things. Another way to use stories is to share how these practices helped you and others overcome fears and pain. As strong as a vision of a brighter future may be, a stronger motivator for some may be the promise of fear and pain reduction. Another way to excite your audience is by appealing to the identity with which they like to associate themselves, how they like to see themselves in the first place. By connecting the actions you're about to invite them to take with an identity with which they like to associate themselves, you're essentially inviting them to make this identity manifest through their actions. Okay, I know that's a little discombobulated. Let me show you what I mean. Rather than telling a student to study, appeal to their self-held identity as a smart, ambitious, capable person with a future. And what does a smart, ambitious, capable person with a future do? Well, they study. Now they'll take the action not because they should, but because it reflects who they are. Another thing you can do to excite them to the future is by helping them see the benefit of the benefit. Oftentimes, when we look at the benefit of taking a particular course of action, we're really just looking at the surface level, the immediate benefit. We're not looking deeper. For example, the immediate benefit of studying is a good grade, but what is the benefit of a good grade? Maybe a sense of pride and accomplishment, the opportunity to apply for scholarships, and the chance to apply to an academic program, or maybe just a reduced sense of stress and anxiety. As Chip and Dan Heath put it, spell out the benefit of the benefit. In other words, people don't buy quarter-inch drill bits. They buy quarter-inch holes so they can hang their children's pictures. Now that your audience is all excited to take action, they now need to understand what action specifically do they need to take. This means educating your audience, giving them the skills, insights, information they need to bring about this future state that they are so eager to inhabit. The first thing you can do is really make your material concrete to the audience, not abstract or vague. Concrete. You see, the thing is, abstract or vague ideas tend to inspire abstract and vague action, and you don't want this. You really want the actions to be specific and actionable. I don't really like the word actionable, but it's taken on and I've started using it. This means that you need to connect sometimes some abstract ideas and theories with very specific goals, actions, and steps that your audience can take. Remember that quote from Campbell Walker at Struthless? Research is great because it gives authority to a concept, and story is great because it makes that concept memorable. Well, there's a second part to that quote. But in my experience, change only works if you take practical, specific, achievable actions. Another thing you can do is make your material and content meaningful to the audience. Think back to this idea of what's in it for me. If we are not successful in making the content meaningful to the audience, connecting it with something that matters to them, then excitement or the potential of excitement isn't even on the table. Don't fall prey to the self-important nonsense that your audience should take action because it's good for them. There's lots of things that you and I should do that are good for us, but we don't. If we don't see the importance, we just don't. It's that simple. Don't expect your audience to make the connections to what matters to them that you're not willing to make yourself. Finally, get your audience invested in the learning process. Now, depending on the nature of the presentation that you're giving, audience participation may not necessarily be an option, but that doesn't mean you want them just passively sitting there and listening. If even in their heads, you want them nodding, asking questions, mulling things over, you want them engaged in the topic. Consider what Chip and Dan Heath meant when they said, to make our communications more effective, we need to shift our thinking from what information do I need to convey to what questions do I want my audience to ask. You want to help your audience formulate questions in their minds that will kind of turn on their radar to the things that you're about to share. After all, remember, curiosity can only be assuaged with knowledge. You want to raise questions that will help them look for the answers that you're about to provide. Now, it may sound frivolous, but it's truly not. You want to entertain your audience. You want to give them laughter and joy and insights, and those moments of, well, I'll be damned. You know, those things that kind of make you look at the world in a new and fun, exciting way. Humor helps us connect with the audience and make us more of a real person and less of a just, well, talking head. As Chris Anderson put it, laughter blows open someone's defenses, and suddenly you have a chance to truly communicate with them. A great way to entertain your audience is by telling humorous anecdotes. Yes, once again, stories. Telling humorous anecdotes both entertains as well as illustrates the points we're trying to make. And if you want to take this to the next level, tell self-deprecating stories. They always win. This demonstrates a willingness to be vulnerable before your audience, and this really helps solidify this human connection. According to Chris Anderson, when you can pull together humor, self-deprecation, and insight into a single story, you have yourself a winning start. Something to consider when engaging your audience with a story. At the beginning, we talked about that. Another thing you can do is build humor into your visuals. Remember, you're not the only presenter up there. Odds are you have some sort of PowerPoint presentation or something of that nature. You can use these slides to help deliver those humorous elements. Me, I kind of like being the straight man against the visuals, right? While I'm sitting here being all earnest and giving information, I can use the visuals to kind of lighten the mood a little bit and once again kind of bring me down a peg before the audience. That self-deprecation model. Now, I enjoy it. It works for me. Not necessarily everyone, but it's something to consider. Still, another way to entertain your audience is by, well, embracing your weird. Most of the time, you and I are working hard to, well, sort of hide our weirdness so that we can blend in with the crowd and not really stand out too much. Now, that's all well and good. I get you, virtual fist bump, right? But when you're lecturing, the last thing you want to do is fade into the background. Now is the time to leverage your unique asset, your weirdness. Trust me when I say really good things can come from this. In an NPR report published in 2011, Alton Brown shared the story of when he came up with his vision for his show Good Eats. I wrote down Julia Child, Monty Python, and Mr. Wizard and thought, if I could put those three things together, that would be fun. If that doesn't have weird written all over it, I don't know what does. Now, related to embracing your weird, you can also try to be unexpected. In psychology, there's this concept of schemas, the idea that through your life's experience, we mentally codify and organize the world so that we can better anticipate, predict, and, well, understand life as it comes at us. For example, someone at a convention walks up to us with their hand outstretched. They're reaching out to shake our hand. That's what our schema tells us, and so we respond in kind. Now, a great way to wake our audience up and throw them for a loop is to basically mess with their schemas. Do or say something unexpected, and so it kind of rouses them out of a stupor and makes them go, huh, what? Or maybe gives them a laugh. However, and this is worth bearing in mind, it's important in that no matter what approach we take with humor, we remain authentic. Remember, you want to bring your weird to the party, not somebody else's. You want to be your true, authentic self, which, yes, means being vulnerable, but that's what helps build a connection. According to Chris Anderson, if you're just an ordinary person, don't try to fake some big intellectual style. Just be you. You don't have to raise a crowd to its feet with a thunderous oration. Conversational sharing can work just as well. In fact, for most audiences, it's a lot better. If you know how to talk to a group of friends over dinner, then you know enough to speak publicly. And he goes on to say that, well, if you're not funny, don't try to be funny. Yeah, I know what's funny, right? You're so funny, says the student who's just looking for an A. Now, if you're uncertain if a joke or approach is going to work, Chris Anderson recommends that you, showcase it in front of friends or family or colleagues, right? Basically do what I call a dry run. Now, make sure it's folks who you can trust and, can tell you that you're a jackass. And if they say something doesn't work, and basically you'll know if it doesn't work if they don't laugh, well then, drop it. Don't run the risk. Now, that brings me to the thing that's going on in your head right now. You're thinking, now, isn't humor like a minefield? Yeah, totally. One person's hilarious joke is another person's off-colored remark. So yeah, think about it. Something that would just totally kill it in a stand-up routine can be apocalyptically cringeworthy in a lecture hall. So yeah, things don't mix and match quite as easily as we might hope. Nevertheless, as dangerous as it can be, it is a fantastic tool. So it's worth taking the time to really learn how to use it in an authentic way that reflects and reveals our own weirdness and can bring entertainment to our presentation. Truth is, you and I are constantly surrounded by messages telling us we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we're not well-dressed enough, we're not successful enough. The last thing our audience needs is more of this negative talk. They need to believe that they can do those things which you've just invited them to do. They need to feel that they are equal to the task that you have just set before them. To embolden your audience, you have to respect who they are and who they want to become. Treat the audience with respect and affirmation, validating their aspirations and their dreams, their sense of identity and self-worth. Speak well of the future states that they envision for themselves and their ability to reach those goals. Express to them that you have faith in their ability to affect some marvelous outcomes. In the same way, you'll want to validate for them how far they've already come. Point out that because of the decisions they've already made, their hard work and determination, they've already come so far, and they should give themselves credit for that which they've already accomplished. The idea is to be a cheerleader for the audience, to help them see who they are, their worth, and that which they've already accomplished in their lives, and to embolden them with the feeling, the hope, the aspiration that they can do oh so much more if they just take the actions that you've mapped out for them. Remember what Maya Angelou said. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. I mean, come on, that says it all, right? So we'll just end it there. So there you are, the 5 ingredients, the 5 E's to a fantastic presentation, keynote, workshop, lecture, whatever it is you're doing. I hope you found this helpful. If there are other things that you do that have really helped you in your presentations, let me know in the comments below. I am constantly looking to upgrade my own skills, so I would love to hear what you have to share. All right, thanks a lot for joining, and until we talk again, have a fantastic day. Holy smoke, that was a long video. And I'll tell you what, if you're still watching, you're a special kind of awesome. But I wanted to come in and tell you about something special I've done with this video. So I really enjoy putting these together. I think you kind of get that impression from this thing. But a lot of work goes into it, and I go through a lot of processes, a lot of steps. In other words, I have a whole system for how I put together these, what I call feature videos. So I have documented this system using this video as the case study. So if you go over to my other channel, Nutshell Studio Productions, yeah, totally rolls off the tongue, right? But if you go to Nutshell Studio Productions, you will see the video I shot showing how I shot this video. Whatever. There's a link to it in the description below, so you don't have to go searching for it or anything, right? So check it out. Maybe it'll be interesting to you, or if you like to make videos yourself, maybe you can learn something from it, or better still, maybe you can teach me something. All right? Hey, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you again soon.